2, 1, 2.
Let's do this. This is a podcast from the Bray Drugs Awareness Forum.
Hello, I'm Ger Rowe from the Drug Education Project at Bray Youth Service, working on behalf of the Bray Drugs Awareness Forum. In this edition of our podcast series, we hear from Deirdre Murphy of the Community Policing section of Bray Gardai. In her time in Bray, Deirdre has become a familiar face around the town, a regular visitor to various community groups, and a valued member of the BDAF core group.
This is a podcast from the Bray Drugs Awareness Forum.
Thanks for having me anyway, Ger. Deirdre Murphy's my name. I'm a local community guard stationed here in Bray. Been in Bray now for the last 7 years, and the last just a little bit over 2 years I have had the pleasure of being in the community policing office here in Bray.
Can I ask you then, Deirdre, when did you join the Gardaí and what made you want to join in the first place?
Well, it actually goes back quite a bit far now, to be fair, Ger. I had actually always wanted to be a guard. I was 17 doing my leaving cert, and I was too young to obviously join the guards at 17. I had a good career counsellor, and she said, go on away and do a degree for yourself and go back then afterwards, and that's exactly what I done. So I spent 5 years in Tralee, and after that I went travelling for a little while. I came back and I found myself down in Templemore about just a little over 7 years ago. So then I got stationed in Bray, and I've been here since.
Bray was your first posting, wasn't it?
Bray has been my first posting, yeah. I've had to learn to slow down when I'm speaking, because some people initially, when they heard my Cork accent, they were very, very bamboozled as to what I was saying.
You mentioned there about being a community guard. That's a term maybe that people kind of hear, but maybe they don't exactly know what it means. So what is the community guard approach, and how does it differ from what we would see as mainstream policing?
Well, I suppose the main difference between community policing, or being a community guard, and regular policing is that regular policing, a lot of what regular guards are doing, or who are on the regular, they are doing reactive policing. So a call will come in over the radio that an incident has occurred, and they have to attend that call. Whereas with community policing, a lot of our work is going out to different organisations, different groups, individuals, and it's more partner-based policing. And it's actually a great way of trying to get into communities to help break barriers down. It's been very successful in the likes of suburban areas such as Bray and Tallaght. Bray and Tallaght are actually very similar with the work that's being done through community policing. Because we're only a stone's throw away from Dublin, and it is very important that you have a community guard that, you know, if you have an issue or a problem, that you can pick up the phone and know that, oh, I know Deirdre, or I know Jennifer, or I know Sean or Anthony. I can pick up the phone and I know that they'll be there to help me out. And it mightn't be something urgent. And that's one of the things, I suppose, when we're talking to different community groups and neighbourhood watches and whatnot, is that if something is urgent, we are recommending to ring 999. And if it's not urgent, it can be a case of dropping us a text or giving us a phone call, and we can assist then when we are on duty.
Is it kind of like when I was a kid in those days, back in the last century, it was kind of a thing where you knew the local policeman, you know, yeah, and you would see them around. It's that sort of approach again, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the thing, exactly. And I suppose how it differs as well is that, like, we're going into the schools and we're going into the community groups. So the kids get to know us from a young age. Like when we're out and about ourselves, if we're on the beat or if we're in the car, oh, there's Deirdre, you know. And you know, this, I suppose, when I was growing up, and it's gas because, like, I have family that are guards, you'd be terrified to see a guard. If you came across a guard, you'd be like, oh, don't make eye contact, as if you had done something wrong, and you wouldn't have done anything wrong. Whereas this helps break barriers down and helps build good, positive relationships with locals, local groups and communities.
And then how can the community guard approach help address the issues of drug and alcohol misuse? Obviously, we're involved in the Bray Drugs Awareness Forum, and I know that you take part in that as well. So what does the community guard approach bring to that whole aspect?
Yeah, and it's something, I suppose, before I became a community guard, I didn't even realise the work that goes on behind the scenes. So I suppose for the likes of the work that goes on behind the scenes with the likes of the BDAF, with the Bray Drugs Task Force, there's so many different organisations there that we get involved with, so we can see firsthand what are the issues going on within local groups and communities. And we're hearing it from the people who are working with the people that are experiencing those issues. And it differs with those groups to the likes of the Neighbourhood Watch, where they are actually understanding the people. They might actually know the families involved with the drug issues or alcohol issues. Whereas the likes of Neighbourhood Watch, and Neighbourhood Watch is brilliant in itself because they are seeing crimes that are happening with people maybe not from the areas and whatnot. But I suppose the main issues there is the likes of the Bray Drugs Task Force. They have put like funding in to us to help train us to become aware of different things that unfortunately, look, we don't get trained in down in Templemore or afterwards. And that has given us greater insight, and it has actually helped as well break barriers with people. We're looking at people that are maybe involved in drug use or alcohol use through a multi-lens. It's not just one lens or having tunnel vision that this is a criminal that's doing something. It's not a dig at regular policing, but regular policing might be, let's say, arresting somebody for shoplifting. They're not looking at the reason why they're shoplifting. Whereas community policing, because of all the awareness that I suppose we've been trained into, we're looking at, okay, they're shoplifting because they need to feed their habit, because they have a drug debt, because there's several factors going on. They need to feed whatever issue is going on. And having, I suppose, the relationships that we have with the likes of the task force and the various community groups, we can see, okay, look, there is a lot of issues going on at home there. Is there something we can do to help? And that's a collaborative approach within itself then, within the policing and within any supports that can be put in place to help those people.
So it all comes down to personal relationships.
That's the thing, a personal relationship is massive, because you come across people that are having the worst time of their lives. And we're seeing it so much, especially with mental health. They are taking various substances to try and numb the pain. And it can be so infuriating at times, because having just a little bit of extra understanding as to what is really going on, and having the relationships with yourselves, so we know we can pick up the phone, we can say, look, so-and-so is having a bit of a problem. Is there any support or help that can be put in place? And the likes of even the youth diversion programme there, like that's proving massively successful. And these kids, and we're not just talking about kids here now, but with the youth diversion programme in particular, like there's kids there that are really high risk of getting involved in gangs, getting involved in serious crime. You know, it's a case of our JLO, Claire Dwyer or Emma Skinner. They might say, look, this person is really high risk, can redirect them down to the youth diversion programme and steer them in the right path, in the right direction. Now, it's not successful for everyone, and I'd be a fool to say that it works for everyone. But if you're getting somebody that is really high risk and moving them away, look, that's one person that you've helped. And I suppose that's a massive part of our work that we're doing at community guards and the likes of the juvenile liaison officers. It's trying to guide people in the right direction.
Would it be a more kind of individual focused approach then, do you think? Is that what makes it work, that you actually get to know individuals for what they are themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you do get to know individuals, individual families, but you're also getting to know groups as well. And the likes of going in to do the school talks especially, it's great, because it's gas when you mention, you know, like, look, we're not going to be naive here. Majority of the kids now, if you go into schools and you show them pictures of what particular drugs are, they already know. I didn't know at that age, but they already know. But when you're talking about consequences and whatnot of taking particular drugs, and like, I'm not a health professional, but I'm still the one responding with the regular Gardaí, should I say, to calls where somebody's after taking something. like to see those effects, and they could have 10 friends around them and they're panicking and screaming, or, you know, they don't know what's happening. Is their friend here going to die? And you like, you know, in yourself, having, I suppose, past experience, right, there is a likelihood here there could be permanent damage, that there could, you know, we could be making another call to, and a very horrible call to somebody's parents' house, to tell them what's after happening. And that's horrible. But yeah, you do get to know individuals and you do get to know groups. And it is lovely because like I'm involved in several groups now around Bray, and just even from going in, just saying hello. And when I'm out and about, then they get to know me and say, "Oh, there's Deirdre, how are you getting on?" You know, and it's really nice to see. And they actually, and I've had a couple of lads coming up to me with issues where they have thought that they did not do anything wrong. And I actually, there was a group of lads, I suppose, not too long ago, who had they had got barred from a shop. They came to me and they said, "Oh, so and so is after barring us, and we did do nothing wrong." And when it turned out, when we sat down and we talked it out, it turned out, look, they had been with somebody who was acting up, was stealing stuff from the shop. The staff said, "No, we're not having any more of it. None of you are allowed in." So to be fair, we went over to the shop after, had a chat with the manager and explained, "Look, the lads, they're solid. If there's any issues, you're reporting to me." And there has been no issues since. And that's a great relationship that we've built just through, you know, just popping in for 5 minutes into a centre, you know.
So the community policing principles and all the contacts that you build up with local groups, it's obviously important for you and your work.
Well, I suppose, like I've said in the past there, since I've went into community policing, that was in May 2022, I've gotten to know so many groups and individuals in the community from various backgrounds, and you know, it's actually been very eye-opening for me. I think the value of community policing isn't seen as the value that it is, because like we're going out and we're talking to people and groups, helping prevent crime through advice, helping to sort out issues that are happening in their local areas and it could be just an extra patrol. And look, there's a lot to be done there. Like, I'm not saying everything is perfect, because it's far from perfect. There is a lot to be done. I wish I could do more. I wish I could have another 10 of ourselves inside in community policing, because a lot of the stuff that we are doing is helping prevent crime and preventing people getting involved in serious crime. And you know, when you're talking to families that are experiencing drug intimidation, drug deaths, you know, and they're at their wits' end and they don't know what to do. And to be fair to Inspector Seamus Ryan there, he has been a massive advocate there to the Bray district for people that are experiencing drug intimidation. And it is heartbreaking for them, but they know then, look, I can pick up the phone here and I can talk to Seamus or any of the community guards, and I can get some bit of advice or help, and we can try and guide them to somewhere that we think might help them. That's a massive thing, because let's say if you went back 10 years ago, if somebody was experiencing drug intimidation, they were too afraid to pick up the phone to the guards. And we've come a long way, I suppose, with that, to see, look, we can't let the people who think that they are big fish in a little pond think that they can get away with the disgusting things that they're doing. It's completely unacceptable, you know. And there's a lot of families there. My heart breaks for them, because in the past, the people that are intimidating people for drugs, they were targeting that person individually. Now they're targeting their mothers, their fathers, their grandmothers, their grandfathers, siblings. And, you know, where does it stop? You know, they have absolutely no issues about putting people's windows in and it might be seen as big money, but in their eyes, it's only small money, you know. It's bizarre. It's bizarre, the thought process with them. So I suppose our own relationship, through regular meetings, through good open communication, I get in trouble sometimes for being as honest as I am at times. I don't sugarcoat things. I'll say things as they are. I think it's very important for good open conversations and to be realistic about what we can and cannot do.
Can I just ask you then as well about Bray? I suppose Bray's an interesting area because it's not a village and it's not a city, so it's a town, and it's a fairly big town. What sort of experiences that we have in Bray at the moment, are they any better or worse than other towns?
Jura, being honest with you, the majority of towns and villages across Ireland, they're experiencing very similar situations, especially with the likes of drug and alcohol abuse. We're a suburban area of Dublin, and I suppose one of the biggest challenges for us is the access points. You know, we have the access through the Dart, the M50 onto the M11 there, and it is obviously an issue because we have a lot of people maybe coming from urban areas in Dublin coming out. They're using the likes of the M50, they're using the likes of the trains to carry drugs. It is challenging in itself because we have so many other things as well to compete with then. And because, look, Bray is after exploding, Greysons is after exploding, Newtown Mount Kennedy is after exploding population-wise. So serious challenges there because we have so many different areas. Let's say road traffic. Road traffic is mentioned every single day on the news. Thefts from shops, burglaries. You've heard it on the radio there about the increase in UTs, unauthorised takings of vehicles. Ideally, it would be great to have more Gardaí out and about to help stop or reduce these issues. Look, we have the same numbers in the force as we had 2 years ago, even though the recruitment has been pushed massively because people are retiring and leaving the job. It's still a massive issue for us. So I suppose to compare Bray to a little village down in Cork or Kerry, there's still very similar issues in terms of drug use. You know, you could go into a small little pub down in Kerry or down in Cork and you're seeing people openly taking drugs inside in toilets. You're still seeing drug intimidation. These people that are running the gangs, like, they're all over the country, and I think there's this kind of misconception that it doesn't happen in our village, it doesn't happen in our town. Like, Kilcool is only a little village not too far from Bray, and they have massive issues down there with drug use and drug intimidation. Like, it's not any different, I suppose, to many of the areas in Ireland.
So can I ask you something personal then, Deirdre? Like, is it tough being a guard?
Oh gosh, I suppose, and it's gas. Like, I only met somebody yesterday, and we were actually out on a beat in Greystones, and somebody stopped and had a chat, and they were saying, "Oh, I wouldn't do your job now," and I said, "I love my job," and it's the same reaction I say to anyone. I really love my job. I love going out helping people, and if you ask any guard, regardless if they're one step out or 1 foot out the door now, nearly at retirement age, or just after coming out of Templemore, and if you ask them why did you become a guard, I'd say the majority of them will have the same answer. It's to help people. Like, don't get me wrong, I have tough days. Like, some of the hardest things that you'll ever witness, and you'd hope your own family never have to experience those issues. If it is something that is close to you, if you've had somebody, let's say, involved in getting in trouble with the guards and you're a guard yourself, you know, that's obviously can be hard. Or if you go to a sudden death, you may have lost somebody recently yourself, same age or whatnot. Like, that's obviously going to just maybe be a trigger for you. We actually had a sudden death there recently enough, and it was a tough enough one, and one of the junior guards had attended it. She said afterwards, when I asked her was she okay, I'd only found out after I came back on duty, and she said, yeah, everyone is asking me that, am I okay? And I'm surprised by it. It was her reaction. And I said, well, look, it's very important that we mind each other, because, you know, something that mightn't affect you today might affect you tomorrow. And, like, some of the things that you witness as a guard, no, you wouldn't want anybody to see. That can be the tough part of the job. But look, I love my job. I love going out and helping people. That's why I'm doing it. I enjoy the banter. I enjoy, you know, the range of things that I'm doing and seeing. Every day is different. I couldn't sit at a desk for a 9 to 5 if you couldn't pay me enough to do it. I love being out and about. I love meeting people. I love problem solving. If there's something I can do and help with, I try my best. I don't know everything. By God, I don't know everything. But if somebody has a question for me and I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer for them or try and find a solution.
Okay, Deirdre, well, thank you very much for calling in to talk to us, and thank you for your work with the Bray Drugs Awareness Forum as well.
Thanks, Jar. Thank you.
This is a podcast from the Bray Drugs Awareness Forum.
That was Garda Deirdre Murphy from the Community Policing section at Bray Gardai. The Community Garda section can be contacted on 01 666 5320, and the main station number for Bray is 01 666 5300. The National Garda confidential line is 1800 666 111. The Bray Community Policing Office can also be contacted by email on bray.community@garda.ie. Thanks again to Garda Deirdre Murphy for calling by, and to you for listening.
This is a podcast from the Bray Drugs Awareness Forum.